Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? There are two simple responses that most people use. Either, yes, it is a Christmas movie because it takes place on Christmas, or no, it is not a Christmas movie because it's not about Christmas. These opposing answers cite totally different reasons defining the Christmas movie's Christmas movie status, which illustrates that people generally don't agree on what really makes a movie a Christmas movie. My friend asked me recently if I consider the Harry Potter movies to be Christmas movies. My knee-jerk reaction was, kinda. We can safely say that J.K. Rowling did not set out with the intention of making a Christmas book series that would then be adapted into a Christmas movie series. But a lot of people associate Harry Potter with Christmas. Why is that? There are a few reasons why you could argue in favor of them being Christmas movies that I can touch on later. However, I believe that the most significant reason is that ABC Family drilled it into my generation's brains for years. The cable channel Freeform, formerly known as ABC Family, used to air Harry Potter marathons every Christmas season. Note, they also aired Harry Potter marathons on various holiday weekends and around Halloween, presumably because of the obvious connection between witchcraft and the holiday. In fact, it was practically a joke how often ABC Family used any excuse to air one of these marathons. Funnily enough, I don't think I ever watched any of these ABC Family marathons. If I did, I don't have any treasured memories of it. I do remember, however, ABC Family's marketing for the marathons. Their commercials for Harry Potter were inescapable to me. So, instead of associating Christmas with watching Harry Potter, I associate it with the ubiquitous ABC Family ads for Harry Potter. The ads are almost like mediocre Christmas music you hear while waiting in line at a grocery store. It's not my favorite holiday tradition, I don't really pay attention to it, but it's indicative of the holiday season nonetheless. Again, I'm aware that there are other reasons for why this series could be in Christmas movie territory. Christmas does come up in the movies, and there is generally a cozy vibe to a lot of it, etc., etc. However, I'm trying to illustrate that there are ways for a piece of media to be tied to a holiday other than direct intent from the creator. A film doesn't need to be about Santa for it to be a Christmas movie. When someone asks me what my favorite Christmas movie is, I half-jokingly tell them, Catch Me If You Can. I do this for two reasons. One, I think it's a more interesting answer than my favorite undebatable Christmas movie, Elf. Two, a small part of me actually thinks it could be considered to be in this holiday category. But why? What makes a Christmas movie? If your answer is it's a movie about Christmas, I would have to disagree a bit. If we broaden our scope to include all Christmas media, specifically songs, there are some examples to support my position. The song Same Old Lang Syne by Dan Fogelberg is not really about Christmas. The events of the song take place on Christmas Eve, but that's not really the point of the song. Regardless, the lyrics mention Christmas once, and the whole song is very sentimental, so it gets played in December exclusively. My Favorite Things wasn't considered a Christmas song until Julie Andrews sang it on a holiday episode of The Gary Moore Show in 1961. You could even debate if Last Christmas by Wham is a Christmas song. Sure, Christmas is in the title and the chorus, but that song is more about the complexities of heartbreak than the holiday. This isn't meant to discredit these songs. Last Christmas is my favorite Christmas song, and Same Old Lang Syne is up there in my rankings. But rather, it's meant to show that there are widely accepted outliers in holiday media. I feel that a piece of holiday media simply needs to carry the themes of that holiday and probably a decent amount of the appropriate ambiance. A possibly trivial but totally fair addition to Christmas movie criteria would be that the story takes place on or around Christmas. If you use this attribute alone, that's where you get people claiming that Die Hard fits into this category. I don't know that movie as well, so I won't debate that. Christmas themes, holiday atmosphere, and proximity to December 25th will be my criteria. Right away, Catch Me If You Can does take place on Christmas. Multiple times, in fact. So it checks that box. What about theming? One theme I've seen in a lot of Christmas movies is family. As previously mentioned, Elf is my favorite inarguable Christmas movie. It's the favorite Christmas movie of a lot of people, actually. Family is a huge theme there. Buddy's whole adventure starts because he wants to find his dad. A pretty climactic scene is the one wherein the dad learns to value his family over his career. That scene would be as powerful even if it had zero connection to Christmas, because it's more about family. Christmas with the Cranks is undeniably about family. The family is central in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. You get it. So, family is a theme that is not exclusive to, yet clearly important to, Christmas. Frank Abagnale's motivation throughout the entire film of Catch Me If You Can is reuniting his parents, recapturing that perfect family he once had. From one of the earliest scenes, you can see the veneration he has for his father. This man clearly means a lot to him. And he knows the story of how his parents met by heart. Clearly it's a story he's been told countless times, embedding in his mind the legend of his family unit's beginnings, imbuing it with top-tier importance. When they spill wine on the rug, Frank's dad insists on dancing with his wife as opposed to cleaning the mess. A spill like that can be mitigated somewhat if tended to immediately, but not only does Frank Sr. shrug off the time-sensitive stain, he even dances on it, pushing it further into the fibers of the rug. An expensive rug is nothing to Frank Sr. when compared to this moment he's sharing with his loved ones. This serenity can't last forever though, as Frank's mom has an affair. It, among the accumulation of other stressors, results in a divorce. After his parents' divorce, Frank runs away from home, but he still writes letters to his dad. He talks about how he's going to earn enough money to make up for their financial losses and get everything back to how it was or better. He doesn't emphasize that he dislikes having an unsteady living situation or maybe having had many hungry nights at first. His writing is centered on how he's focused on getting his family back together.
I'm gonna get it all back now, Daddy. I promise. I'm gonna get it all back.
His goal is sweet, sentimental, and unfortunately naive. Later in the story, Frank has a meal with his father. Things are going great for Frank financially. So great, in fact, he's able to give his father a Cadillac as a surprise.
Those are the keys to a 1965 Cadillac DeVille convertible. Red with white interior, split seats, air conditioning, the works.
He then suggests that his mom won't be able to resist reuniting with Frank Sr. if he pulls up in the luxurious new car. Frank could have done a lot of different things with his wealth. He could have bought his dad any gift. He chose to buy something he sees as a stepping stone to attaining the family he once had. On the surface, Frank is a fraudster, amassing wealth through deceit. This is 100% true and does not feel very Christmas-esque. However, in his mind, it's the one way to get his family back, and he pretty much states that belief outright. All his actions, criminal or not, tie back into this belief. There are two other points near the end of the movie that highlight this. Towards the end of the story, Carl, the police officer, is bringing Frank back to the States in custody after his international crimes. While they're flying back, Frank tells Carl to remind him to call his father when they land. He wants a chance to explain things to him before he sees his son on TV. His priority is communicating with his role model. Carl then has no choice but to bluntly tell Frank the news.
Frank, your father is dead. He fell down some steps at Grand Central Station trying to catch a train.
Frank totally breaks down. 1/3 of his family unit is gone. The man who had always told him to never give up on his dreams, while being central to those dreams, has been unceremoniously erased from the equation. Although Frank could fool himself into believing he could fix his parents' divorce, he knows no amount of disguises and forgery can bring his dad back. He escapes custody and runs to his mom's house to see the one remaining member of his family. He's grasping for the final shred of what he once knew. Frank looks through the window and sees that she's married to a new man. Remarrying in general would be a blow to Frank, as it solidifies that his mom has moved on. It gets worse though. She married the man that she cheated on Frank Sr. with. This signals back to that fateful day things started to crumble. And finally, Frank sees a young girl through the window. Curious, he asks her who her mother is, and she points to Frank's mom. In his eyes, his mom has replaced him with a new child. His mom, at least from Frank's perspective, doesn't seem to have a single thought about the family that he perpetuated a life of crime for. Frank has no family now. With his entire motivation taken from him, he turns himself in. There are some points in the movie that extend beyond Frank's family while maintaining the theme. When he's caught by Carl in France, Carl leverages the threat of 24 French police officers to get Frank to turn himself in. Frank calls bullshit. There are no windows in the building, so Carl could actually be lying. He could be using Frank's own deceitful tactics against him. And Frank sees this. After all, he recognizes a good situation for lying. Plus, why should he believe Carl? Prior in the film, Carl told Frank he didn't have any family. Yet, Frank spots a wedding band here. For a moment, we hear Frank scream at him like we have never heard before.
You're wearing a wedding ring. You're wearing a wedding ring, Carl. You lied to me about that. Did you lie about that?
Lying about family, Frank's core value, clearly sets him off. Carl clarifies that he used to have a family, but doesn't anymore. Frank doesn't have a rebuttal to having a mirror shoved in his face. Frank's been trying to rebuild his family all along, always focusing on that as the light at the end of the tunnel. Carl has accepted his lack of family, which is something Frank has never been able to do. They've got something in common. One solemnly lives on with it. The other fights it every day. Eventually, Carl is forced to tell Frank that the French police will kill him if he doesn't follow his orders and cuff himself. Again, if Carl is lying, and there are no French officers outside, then Frank will walk out of the building in handcuffs voluntarily for no reason. He will have been beaten at his own game. However, if Carl is telling the truth, Frank could die. With such high stakes, Frank needs to know for sure whether or not he's being lied to. So, he asks Carl to swear on his 4-year-old daughter. Carl nods in agreement. Frank handcuffs himself. Him leaving his fate up to honoring one's flesh and blood showcases how highly he regards family. Without getting excessive, there are also a few honorable mentions. The way Frank Sr. talks to Carl shows his dedication to his son. Firstly, he lies to conceal Frank Jr.'s whereabouts.
I'm enlisted in the Marine Corps. He's over in Vietnam right now.
Secondly, he drops his facade for a moment to make an almost chillingly honest statement.
You're not a father, are you? If you were a father, you'd know. I would never give up my son.
In addition to that, we have Carl and Frank's dynamic. They start as cop and criminal, but they develop a relationship over time. Carl learns about Frank through his parents and by studying him as a target. He also eventually learns about him by simply talking with him. When they eventually start working together, you could argue that they develop a pseudo-father-son relationship. Carl sets him up in his new career, guiding him onto the straight and narrow like a parent should. Having a young person to watch over might help Carl to fill the void left by his daughter, who he rarely gets to see. Like I said before, Frank and Carl both lack a family in some sense. One of them accepted it, and one of them fought that reality for years.
I don't understand.
Sure you do. Sometimes it's easier living the lie.
In the end, their polar opposite responses led them to a found family. I'll admit, overanalyzing this movie to make a pro-Christmas movie argument has caused me to pass over some of the other aspects of the film. Specifically, as you might have thought of by now, it overall lacks a holiday vibe. There are plenty of scenes in this movie about fraud that are devoid of the Christmas spirit. It's fair to claim that the movie's overall atmosphere is not focused on reds and greens, silver and gold, snow-laden landscapes, or gift-giving. However, Catch Me If You Can features count 'em, two Christmas songs. Firstly, it has Mele Kalikimaka by Bing Crosby and the Andrews Sisters.
Morning night.
Secondly, it has The Christmas Song by Nat King Cole in the most heart-wrenching scene of the movie. It literally has a song called The Christmas Song in it. Plus, the other one is a Bing Crosby song. Bing Crosby is known for Christmas time tunes. There's also the choir singing in the background in the arrest scene. In fact, that might be one of the most Christmas-dense stretches of the film. You've got a cold, wintry night, you've got the choir singing, you've got the theme of family prominent. Oh, and it's fucking Christmas Eve! What more could you ask for? Catch Me If You Can meets all three criteria that I somewhat arbitrarily set. Does this make it a Christmas movie? Or is it simply a crime comedy drama? Can a video essay that mentions the word family too often make this into a holiday film? Or is that all bullshit? Did the Yankees always win because of their pinstripes? Or was it Mickey Mantle? It's up to you. Regardless, I appreciate you listening to me make my case. Thank you for watching, and happy holidays.